wait. All right. It says that it's live, but technically it's still connecting. So this is the part where I was talking about the delay. Right. But we'll get there. I'm not worried.
I'm not worried. I blocked off time. I'm good.
I love it.
Ooh, come on.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the More Than Graphics podcast. I am Danielle.
And I'm Cicely.
And man, do we have an episode for y'all. We keep talking about how we keep leveling up in this game of podcasting. We keep bringing on amazing guests on the show. Everything from self-care to self-love. We're talking about Eliminate earlier in the season. And here we are on the topic of resilience. And I cannot tell you, we have the best guest for resilience right now on the podcast. So first, let me just start off with catching up, because I know me and Cicely, we kind of got a little bit of space, to kind of grow and breathe some. But how you doing, Cicely? How you feeling today?
I am pretty good today. We're this much closer to the end of the semester. I like you put, we kind of talk about dividing, I guess, our year into quarters sometimes. Mm-hmm. Quarter one is over. We're on to two now. So I'm just looking forward to some new things that are brewing up for me, and just looking positively forward to the future.
Oh, yes. That's a great aspect to have right now. I know spring is here, right? It's like, all the birds are chirping. Kentucky weather's still trying to figure out what it's doing. And we're all kind of in a place where, there's a lot of rebirth, renewal things happening. And I love this season, all for the metaphoric reasons of doing something new and going in a new direction, leaving kind of what we had behind and going somewhere else. And I love the fact, too, that as we talk about resilience, that's a big part of our journey for women as creatives, women in tech. We have to learn when to let things die, to let things new happen. And so it's really important in our journeys that we celebrate those moments, even when it's time to transition or pivot even in a different direction. So Cicely, I'm going to let you introduce this guest. I personally know this guest from a long time. I'm going to let Cicely do it because she's the professional. She's our professional VO. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to introduce you guys to Mrs. Tanya Torp. Tanya Torp is an agent for social change and has spent her career engaging in community-based initiatives as convener, speaker, trainer, writer, and consultant. Her full-time job as executive director at Step by Step Inc. encourages and equips young single mothers ages 12 through 24 through an empowerment model which includes mentoring, deep listening, case management, support groups, leadership development, and walking alongside them towards their own definitions of success. Additionally, Tanya manages her consultant business as a keynote speaker and workshop facilitator in the following areas: strategic planning for nonprofits, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, volunteer management, community liaising, and youth empowerment. Finally, Tanya is an associate pastor at Embrace United Methodist Church. Her ministry passions are discipleship, leadership development, intercessory prayer, women's ministry, and worship ministry, excuse me. Currently, Tanya is editing her forthcoming book on the topic of radical hospitality. She lives in Lexington, Kentucky, with her husband, Christian, a civil rights attorney, and their 2 young children. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I've been looking so forward to this. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, Tanya, you have been laying groundwork in the game. You have skin in the game. Let me just say that out loud, okay? When I say you got skin, I mean, girl, you got skin in the game. You've been doing this for a long, long time. We ain't telling no numbers. I'm just saying out loud, you've been doing this for a hot minute. And it is so empowering as a younger person. No, don't take no offense to that I am literally watching things happen in my lifetime. The things that people behind me said were not possible in my lifetime, even technically in their lifetime. I'm watching you do this work, and I've been so empowered by your journey and your story. And so in this realm of resilience that we're talking about, I feel like you embody that so much. Can you tell us a little bit about what your kind of day-to-day life is like?
Ooh, it's like you all. Like, there's nothing typical about any day. I think one of the things that I am privileged, honestly, to do is to have a really good team and a really good support around me. And so during the day, my main job is working with these young women at Step by Step. It is the joy of my life to work with these women, and it is a calling. And so I started off as the program director here, just working with the moms and like really trying to infuse enthusiasm in the program. And what I learned was we need to follow them. I've just learned that over the years, that so many people come into their lives to tell them, this is how you should parent, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it. And I have the privilege of being able to hear them go, but I already know what I'm doing. I just need the supports around me. And so I get to do that with an amazing team that we serve about 250 young moms and kids per year. And we have full programming with them. So every Thursday night when there's not a pandemic, we pick them up and their children. We provide a hot meal. We have infant care and then children's programming, which is really fun and energetic, and the kids never want to leave, actually. It's a hard time getting them out the door to go home. And then we have life skills sessions with our moms based on what they want to hear, speakers that they want us to bring. And we just spend a lot of time with them. So I get the opportunity to just work on a team that really listens to these moms. The second part of my job is being a pastor. And so the way that I get to do that and live out my calling through my faith is to really, it's another form of listening, right? It's another form of leadership and working on a great team that cares about our environment, cares about our community, cares about social justice. That's really important to me, that, you know, Jesus really said, I'm here for this, the least of these. I'm here for those of you who have been marginalized and minoritized, and he just like was in it. And so that is my inspiration for that part of my life. And then being a mama, as you both know, is an incredible joy. We walked through the journey of infertility, and then we walked through the journey of foster care and adoption. And it has been quite a ride. There's a lot that I didn't know, and I'm learning things every day. And so that's the biggest ministry for me, is actually my family. And then consulting is something, as you said, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I did it for free for many years. And now I'm at the point where I do not do things for free.
Right. Yes.
I know my worth, but I have developed an audience. I've developed a core, and I don't usually have to advertise because I have worked with some incredible organizations who then refer me to other people. So that's been an incredible joy, and kind of, it feels like an accident, but it's not, because I've walked towards that for so long that now I have to turn down jobs that I don't want to do. So that's where I'm at. So there's no real typical day. I try to get up in the morning and spend some time with the Lord. One of the things that's been hard is social media. So I have challenged myself this year, and my co-laborers have challenged me to not wake up and look at the phone. Right? To wake up and just be in the moment and be present, not only with myself, but with my creator, and then present with my family. So that has been the challenge, because, you know, you can get real busy. Hashtag all the things. And so that's a typical day. Get up in the morning, try to spend that time, try to be present with my kids while they're running around, all things are happening, and then get out the door and get it started. Sometimes I don't get home until 7 p.m. and other times I'm home on purpose. Like Fridays are my day. Don't ask me to do nothing. That's the day that I like. It's me, it's the Lord, it's whatever needs to happen for rest.
Oh my gosh, I love this scope, because I feel like so many women can completely relate to this. They can relate to that routine. And even this, just kind of this challenge recently with social media for you, people can definitely relate to this as an entrepreneur, as a woman in tech, as a woman creative, to not pick up the phone immediately to kind of check feeds and all the things. I personally am on that bucket as well. I'm definitely on riding that as much as I possibly can to not pick up my phone initially. I need to go play with my babies. I need to go, play with my husband. I need to go do whatever I need to do so that I can be not, so addicted or attached to technology. So all the love here. Much
that's
respect.
Part of being a creative too, right? We have to be online. That's where, especially now during COVID, but even before that, that's where you grow your grassroots business is online. So part of your, business acumen has to be doing that well. And so you can get a little obsessed with it and a little bit drawn in, and you have to set really good boundaries. So that's been the challenge. And it's been good. It's been good to like learn, okay, yeah, maybe I need to pull back as a creative and really focus on the creative part.
Yes, exactly.
Being able to create.
Absolutely.
Fill that cup, fill that cup, fill that cup so that then I can pour out.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. We talked a little bit about this on our self-care episode with Denicia Hilton, where she talked initially about the power of play, just playing in general. What does really play look like? Is playing really playing on my phone? Is playing really an aspect of something that I actually have to have? Or can I play elsewhere and still feel my need? Can I play doing some other activities that are not so drawn into a screen, that can still fulfill the need and help me be more creative at my job in that retrospect? So I love that you bring that up. It's so important for all of us to understand as entrepreneurs, women in tech. We've got to find and set some boundaries that work for us. So I'm going to ask my question initially. Sorry, Cicely. I'm going to ask how do you define resilience?
I love this question so much, because you think and you know that I see resilience every day in these young women that I get to work with. I mean, if you're a mom age 12 to 24, I've got a very strong support system in my life, and being a mom is one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life, right? So to see people who have been knocked down again and again and again, and systemically, right? We have systemic issues as to why things are the way that they are, especially when it comes to poverty, and especially when it comes to having the things that you need in your life. And so watching them overcome this is the answer that most people would think that I would say. It's like, that's resilience, like overcoming and really being able to pour into yourself and others. But what I think resilience is, the key for me has been community. Resilience is communal to me. We are very independent. And we work really hard to say, this is my little area, this is my stuff, this is my family, we'll keep it in here. And what we really need to work on is becoming interdependent in healthy ways. Setting really great boundaries for yourself is resilience. Being able to say no, which is a complete sentence, is resilience.
I heard that. Yes.
Right? Being able to have healthy relationships with people that you can count on is resilience. And so it builds a picture of community for me. I am not healthy if I don't have community to do life with. And if I'm not at a place in my life to be resilient, it means that I can't have those healthy boundaries. I can't have those tough conversations with people in my life. I can't recognize toxic behavior and then say, I can't have that right now till you get yourself together. We gonna have this kind of friendship, And so resilience to me is something that starts in knowing who you are, but then also moves into being communal. So to me, it's not anything to do with the amount of money that's in your bank account. And it doesn't have to do specifically with mental health, specifically with having all of your needs met. It means that you have a system in place of people that you can count on and who can count on you in a healthy way.
Yes.
That's resilience to me.
Wow. If y'all ain't taking notes, we sure are. So Cicely has been typing away here. If you can see her, she is feverishly typing notes. We keep these notes, we reshare them. We're getting ready to launch a program soon about what these resources that we're gathering very shortly. But this is the type of conversation that I feel like everybody needs to have with themselves in regards to moving forward with anything. As we're pivoting and transitioning into new things, we really have to start kind of, having these internal conversations with ourselves. What's working? what's not working. And so in the realm of resilience, we have to kind of take that into account. What am I really being resilient about? Or what is making me more resilient than I was last quarter? Is it because I relied on my community? Is it because I fine-tuned the areas that I needed to rely on myself more and rely less on things? Systems, as you mentioned before, have been extremely vital in any type of growth process, but specifically for me in terms of resilience, it's really been helpful in making me more defined in what I really want to put my energy into.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I really appreciate that honest response about defining resilience. That's a great answer. Somebody put that in the dictionary, please, next to resilience. Just put a picture of Tanya right there. There it is.
And I'll be pointing back to my community.
That's them behind me. Yes, yeah. I love that. I definitely want to make sure that, again, as people are listening to this conversation, again, it's very candid. We don't fluff around here, but I also hope that people understand that these are actionable steps that anyone can take. All you have to do is start. And so that's for some of us, I think about starting. I always think about the Christmas special. What is it? Santa Claus has come to town. You put one foot in front of the other. That's what I teach my kids all the time. I currently sing that song to my 8-month-old child. And it's one of those things where that is true across the board, wherever you are, whether you are in your golden age of life transitioning to something new, or you're very young, just getting started in your young Zennial millennial professional career. There is a place for you here. I'm going to go all West Side Story. There's a place for us. So I just kind of, yes. So that's kind of where I'm really trying to get at as we're having this conversation about resilience. There is a lot of work that we too have to do for ourselves, but at the same time, know that you're not alone. This is what this podcast was all about. This is why we created it. So yeah, Cicely, I'll let you go ahead with the next question.
And thank you both for sharing and dropping those gems. Like I said, if you could hear me, it's like that Kermit the Frog meme where he's typing fast on the typewriter.
My favorite meme.
But thank you for sharing that. And one thing that you said, a couple of things that you said really stood out to me. So I was taking notes about that too. One of the very first things you said, which as a nurse, I definitely appreciate, and I understand this approach on a different level than a lot of people do, is you said with your programming, with step by step, that you make sure that the program is directed by the participants versus by, what the directors and the program coordinators, what you all want them to learn. Because just like you said, it's one of those things where I think these young women, they come into this program and they come into the program because they know that they need that community. They know that they need this extra help. They know that they need a tribe, a group of people rallying around them, because as you know, motherhood at any age it is not a walk in the park. It really isn't, and I became a young mom at 21. So I learned that lesson very quick. So if it had not been for my community, my family, my best friends, and just those people that rallied around me, that same thing, and it was the same thing, like you said, I didn't need you to tell me how to change a diaper and how to do this. But what I need you to tell me is well, how do I manage time and how do I not get so overwhelmed with this brand new responsibility? So I'm so glad that you said that with your program, that you're letting the moms direct you all and say, hey, this is what we need. Can you show us how to get there? Which is also another level of responsibility that they're showing as well. I have these tools, but I need these tools. So I need your help getting there. So that was awesome that you mentioned that. And I know that they appreciate it. That's near and dear to my heart too. So I really, really just appreciate that you said that. And also just about bringing up how resilience, you can't be resilient. And I feel this just from personal experience, but without that community, you need your community. You have to have at least one person, somebody, 2-3 people, maybe more, but you have to have somebody rallying behind you. When you get tired, when you want to give up, when you say, I am done and there's nothing else, you need somebody who's in your ear and saying, hey, you said you were going to do this. I want you to succeed and we're going to make it happen. So thank you for bringing up that community aspect, because so many people I feel don't have that community, which is I'm sure some of the girls that come to Step by Step come because they don't have that community and they need somebody, they need somebodies to rally around them and their babies. Yes. But it's so important as a creative, as a woman of color, as a mother, as business owner, just whatever that you do, that you have some sort of support and some sort of community. So I love that you said that. Bro, a little tear in my eye, made me all emotional. I'm like, yes, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it deep. I feel it deep. If you don't cut it out, look, we ain't supposed to be cutting up yet.
Okay, yet. Okay. We'll comment.
Yeah, we got time. So, and I thank you all as well for sharing a little bit about your journey with infertility. Me and you had kind of talked about this in the Facebook group. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. I feel, especially as women of color and just women in general, women feel ashamed to talk about infertility. Mm-hmm. They feel ashamed to talk about their struggles. But, and I try to always let people know that being a mother is being a mother, whether it's your biological child, whether it's, IVF, C-section, whether any means that a child was brought into your life, you're still a mom. Like that's still your baby. So that's all I gotta say about that. But thank you for bringing that up and, again, bringing light to that issue. So I wanted to know, in what ways has being a parent made you more resilient? Like what has it made you realize, and what are some kind of things? I'm sure you got plenty of stories. I read one of your stories on Facebook the other day.
Oh, yes.
I was cackling. I shared it with my husband. I couldn't stop laughing. I was cackling. I was like, this is ridiculous. And it's in the best way. So just share with me some ways that being a parent has made you more resilient.
Oh boy, that's a really, y'all are asking the questions. Okay. I think one of the ways is that having my children, especially, so I'm 46 years old and I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. So I think that my children and their biological parents have really shown me what it takes to love hard. And that leads to resilience. I will never tell my children's full stories without their permission or without their biological parents' permission, but being involved in foster care in particular, I see both sides of it, right? I've got young moms, 25% of our moms in our program have open cases with the cabinet who is either going to take their children or has taken their children and they want them back. So we've got that parental side, right? And then on the other side is me as a foster parent who is walking through that journey of addiction and brokenness and abuse and neglect, and the really hard side of that, where you really just are like all about the child and don't really always know the circumstances of the biological parents and what's going on. And so what it's taught me being a parent, and I can connect this to resilience and to being a creative in many ways, is there are so many sides to the story. And in order to honor my children, I need to honor the fullness of their story. And honoring the fullness of their story then leads me more back to that community aspect that I was talking about earlier, about I cannot do this on my own. And it really begs me to be transparent in a lot of ways. And it begs me to start to get myself together, right, and resilient. So since becoming a parent, I have a regular therapist in my life who is amazing. I have as I call them, my village. I have people from every walk of life who are a part of our village, and I could not do this without them. And that leads me to a place of, okay, I can get back up again tomorrow. I can get back up the next day. Okay, I can continue to do this even when it's the hardest thing ever. And so the stories for our biological families, they love their children. And thinking about them as I parent their children who have been entrusted to me also lends me to need to care about them and where they're at, right? And so that doesn't mean that I have unhealthy boundaries and I'm like, come on over, let's kick it. That doesn't mean that, but it means that with every decision that I make with my husband for our children's lives, that I'm thinking in the back of my head and sometimes in the front of my head about the parents that are not every day in their lives, but are definitely still their biological parents, still have there's part of them in there. And that leads me to think about more than myself. And that's also resilience, right? We can be so selfish. And I have been in the past in myself, so selfish because we're thinking about this is my little piece of my life right here. And everything around it, the environment, politics, religion, all these things we can get by with or without that stuff. But right here is what I want to hold on to. And I recognize that I've got these children. I'm also thinking about the kids that are in cages. I'm also thinking about, I don't have a luxury of not thinking about the world. And if I think about the world, I can't give up. I can't give up because these babies, right, that are here, but also these babies that are out there, this community of people who might not have some of the same resources. And there was a time I had no resources. I grew up with very little resources. So just remembering that it is all interconnected, and that builds on the resilience. And then that also leads into being a creative. Like, those stories need to be told in ways that are honoring and ways that are not stealing someone else's story. The stories need to be told in ways that are authentic. And so I'm very careful. So I think that adds to the resilience as being a parent. It just all comes full circle.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Cicely, go ahead and chime in here. But I really, what I felt the most drawn to, and something I was just typing, as you can see, I'm feverishly typing because when you talk, I'm like, woo. When I think about the world, I can't give up. That statement just, and that's in relevance to so many things. When we think about the world in terms of raising children, period. When we think about the world in terms of raising children who are different from us, have different ethnic backgrounds, have different heritage that we currently don't have. When we think about the world in terms of just putting ourselves out there, yes, it is scary. Yes, it is involving energy that we have to somehow just create out of thin air, especially for women of color. When we think about the world, we can't give up. I think that is such an inspirational statement, Tanya. That was really profound, because I feel like a lot of people need to hear that. They're not necessarily in a place of, I'm going to completely give up and I'm going to drop the ball, but they're kind of in that place where it's like, I'm not seeing it no more. I don't see the goal line. I don't see the purpose. I don't see the plan. And I feel like it's really important when we say profound statements like that, we just really want to echo and stretch that out as far as we can. Yes, you can. When we think about the world, you really can't. You can't give up, because there's so much more on the other side of that. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. Yeah. And just to add on to that too, think about, who's come before us. Mm-hmm. I'm standing on the shoulders of women of color.
Exactly.
Of color who have gotten me thus far, right? Mm-hmm. Not just my parents, not just my grandparents, but like a whole bunch of folk. Mm-hmm. The ancestors are looking at us like, look, I done did all this. What y'all gonna do?
Exactly.
And it's not necessarily about carrying on those unhealthy patterns of like, we must be everything to everyone, because I have been down that road before. That road doesn't work, by the way, creatives. It doesn't work.
Yes.
Yes. So staying in your lane helps, but that lane also leads to the rest of the world, no matter where you're coming from. And so I am standing on the shoulder, even at this organization. There were founders of this organization who prayed all over this, right? There are founders of the church that I'm an associate pastor at that prayed all over that and did the work to get the building built and all of that. I'm standing on the shoulders of those who came before me. And it's important to remember that as well, that what they had to endure to get me to where I'm at does not allow me the luxury of not being resilient. It does not allow me the luxury of stopping when or the luxury of even saying, well, I can't do that. I can't publish a book. I can't, have the best graphic design company in town. I can't. I don't have the luxury of saying I can't, because they didn't.
That's right. Oh man. Amen.
All
right. Amen.
That was it.
Because that was it right there.
We having church up in here. We having preaching.
Come on.
I love it. I was gonna say you took us to church on that one.
Right, you sure did. Oh, that was beautiful. Every time I think about that, and I've mentioned it also previously in like email blasts that we sent out recently, you know, for Black History Month, I am my ancestors' dream.
Yeah.
So what can I do to push that dream forward? If I can't push it for myself, push it for the people behind me.
Yes.
Right.
Push it for the people before me.
Absolutely.
I love that concept. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, so many gems. One thing that you said to me that was very profound, and it's something that I had not thought about. So I feel seen, exposed. I feel all sorts of things behind it, but it's a good thing. It was when you said, especially with your kids, to kind of realize the whole piece of the story, that you and your husband as their parents are, you know, just one piece of their story, but then their biological parents are also a piece of that story. So you must honor all parts of that. And I was like, you know what? That's really mature. Like that may be at a maturity level a little bit beyond me right now. But I can't exactly speak on it from that point of view, but as a stepmom for, what have I been a stepmom for? Almost a year and a half now. There are some times where, you know, we can get in our feelings, we get a little selfish, we feel the way we feel about some things. And then, you know, that made me stop and really kind of think about like, where I'm going to have my bonus kids this weekend as well. They should be on the way here in a couple hours. And it's really one of those things where, just like you and your husband, you guys are going to be kind of the catalyst in helping your sons create their story. And you want to make sure that they have the full story. Like, you don't just want to frame one group of people a certain way and then frame, you know, your situation a certain way. You want them to be able to live in their truth and have the information that they need, you know, as age appropriate to make, the decisions that they need and to form who they are, to decide who they are and what kind of people they will be. So I really appreciate you calling me out, even though you weren't purposely calling me out, but you called me out. And I appreciate it. So now I'm gonna have to take some time after this talk to reflect and really be in my feelings and write about it and pray on it and think about it. So I want to say thank you for that.
Let the church say amen.
Yes,
amen.
Yes, amen. Amen. Oh my goodness. See, I already knew this was gonna happen, y'all. I just foresaw it in the stars. So I love this conversation so much. And again, Tanya, you just come with so much life experience. You come with so much wisdom and grace and honor. And it just really emulates everything that we talk about in regards to resilience, anything really. I mean, honestly, you could sell us a telephone book, Tanya, but it's one of the situations where I feel so empowered just by hearing your voice and hearing you stand firm in your affirmations and your truth is so, so encouraging. I know there's plenty of other people who are listening to this who are probably feeling the same way.
It's a journey. And, you know, there are days, I acknowledge that there are days where I want to be Patti LaBelle. I mean,
man,
you know,
I want the pass.
Right. but the resilience compels me to go beyond that. And some days it might take a couple of days for me to get past that, right? But resilience demands that I continue to move in that direction because that's why I'm here.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. I love this so much. Okay, so my question is, I kind of want to take it back. What did you want to be growing up? I mean, I know that it wasn't always this. So I really kind of want to hear a little bit of your origin story. How'd you go from what you were dreaming of to what you are now?
You know, I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a ballerina who was never in ballet class ever. I wanted to be not like once ever. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be many things. And my biggest lament, I think, is that I did not know until I was older that you could have more than one career and you could have more than one career simultaneously. And I wish that we would stop asking children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because it puts everything in one little basket where they just have to be in that little basket. And I am so glad that I am not there. I'm so glad that I'm not the attorney, ballerina, teacher that I wanted to be. But those aspects of those things are still there. I still dance in my kitchen, right? I still like dance through life. We have dance parties in the office all the time.
Yes.
We have that like 2 p.m. slump. You got to have the dance party. I'm still teaching and preaching in ways that are different than public education. So the origin story is a little bit of Air Force brat, right? Traveled around a little bit in the United States and had to learn how to make friends quickly, right? Because they're gone. Even if you don't move that much, people are in your life and then they're gone, which is it's hard to find identity. And then, we lived in places like Tacoma, Washington and Albuquerque, New Mexico, very, very small Black populations. So there were oftentimes I was the only Black kid in school. And I didn't know my identity. Then we moved to Virginia. And of course, there was a lot more Black folks and people of color. And I couldn't relate because I hadn't grown up like that. So I had to have kind of an awakening all throughout. And I think I'm still having awakenings on a regular basis. I think that resilience has been also part of the journey the entire time of learning who I am, or as Michelle Obama would say, becoming, right? As I am becoming who I am meant to be, I am meant to be many different iterations of Tanya Torp. And I am glad to be able to have that knowledge now that, okay, I can be a pastor and an executive director of a nonprofit, and I can run my own consulting company and be a mom who's present and be a wife who's present, and a friend I can still do those things and be a daughter and a sister and all of that. And yes, but I can't do it without community, without rest, without caring for myself, without knowing who I am, without always healing. Healing will never stop. Healing is a lifetime journey. And so that is part of the process. And I think that's true for business owners, for creatives. It's true for humans. If you allow that process, right?
Completely. And I so feel that on so many levels, Tanya. Like when you talk about, and yes, I can be these other things. I literally had just kind of come from a recent post where I was talking about Hippolyta for Lovecraft Country. Yes, I can be the discoverer. Yes, I can be the mom. Yes, I can be the businesswoman. Yes, I can do all these hats. I can be all of these people and be great at it. I feel like that's the part we kind of forget to challenge ourselves in that way, to not box and label ourselves in that way. So that's really a good portion of kind of reviewing and recognizing the purpose again of this podcast, which was to be more than our 9 to 5, to be more than the name badge that we wear, to be more than just that, whatever that title is for us as creatives in tech, because a lot of times we just kind of get glossed over, especially for women of color. So I really find it so important that we hear from you, someone who's been doing the work, to really let other people know, girl, it's okay. Yes, you are capable. You are more than capable. You can do it, and you can do it with the right tools and systems and community in place. So that is so inspirational to me as well, because I'm in that race where I'm still wearing all the hats, and I want to wear all the hats well. Not just wear them, but wear them well. So I really am inspired by hearing you say these words as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and I'll also add that, one of the worst things that we do to one another and to ourselves actually is to compare our lives to someone else. That will kill your dream faster than anything, is to look over there and see how that sister's doing it and be envious of that and wish that you had it that way. And why am I not? And how can I not? Who you are meant to be is who you are meant to be. What is for you is for you. And no one else gets to write that story for you. And so I believe that those things also go hand in hand with the healing, the continued healing. Then you start to believe I belong in that space. Yes, I can be a creative. Yes, I can be a business owner. Yes, I can do these things because I belong in that space. But if I'm continuing to compare myself to other people's journeys, other people's stories, then I never measure up. And I'm not meant to measure up. That's the trick of it all, right? I'm not meant to measure up. I'm meant to be who I am called to be. And that measurement is arbitrary. as society is speaking. But if I am meeting the mark on being who I'm supposed to be, then I've met it. I've exceeded it. So we continue to walk down this path and to move down this path. I shouldn't say walk down this path as somebody who cares about accessibility, move down this path, right, of comparison and not having enough. We live from a place of scarcity, and there is enough. And the lie of scarcity has kept us in places where we do not need to be for way too long. We do not need to be in places of scarcity. There is more than enough. And, you know, I learned that. I did a couple of trips actually to Uganda, and I have amazing friends there. And people would say to me, first of all, they were very sad for me that I didn't know what tribe I came from. They said, then how do you know who you are? And so that goes back to me to like being community and building your community around you, because that's also how you begin to know who you are, right? But one of the biggest takeaways of that is they would always say, oh, take me to America with you. You guys have so much there. You have so much. And I would say, hold on, because you'd be corrupted in a minute, because we have too much to recognize what we actually have. You know, so there's this re-entry whenever you come back from a place that is very different. I call that re-entry. And I'm standing in the grocery store and I'm looking at 25 different toothpastes. And I'm overwhelmed because I had just been in a place where there was one choice in the little market that I went to, and how much more, not in a folksy kind of, oh, isn't that great that they just get to focus on themselves and not the things, right? Not like that, but in a way of, what am I missing? Because I have a scarcity mindset surrounded by abundance. So what are we missing in our lives by having a scarcity mindset when we're surrounded by abundance? I don't want to miss my life, right? Yes. I don't want to miss my call. I don't want to miss the things that I'm supposed to be doing because I'm focused over here on what I don't have because she has that over there. Or I'm focused over here on, I wish that I could have that kind of thing, or I can be this, or I can be that. Just be who you are, where you are, and you will continue to grow.
I know, Cicely, I'm just kind of like, yeah, like, we just gonna relish in all this. Just make it rain, Tanya. Just make it rain. like you just doing all the things. Okay. I feel like the angels are just parting and all the things are just.
Well, listen, they're sitting behind us. They're all
yes.
This is part of it too. There's this wall right here. Like there's a Sada up there. The second one is Deborah from the book of Judges. Because they don't talk about Deborah too much when they're talking about the Bible. So I literally, as you walk down the hall into my office, you see this wall of women of color. It's all women of color on this wall. I have never been ever in a CEO or executive director's office where I've seen myself on their wall. So when I got into this office, I said, that is what I want. The first thing people see when they look towards my office is a wall of women of color. They have paved the way. And when I look at the things that they had in their lives, oftentimes it would look like it wasn't enough. In jail, slaved, enslaved, didn't have much. But what they did, we know every last one of these women's names. That part about being resilient comes from also knowing what you have and knowing that what you have is abundance and not scarcity.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Chills. Okay. Y'all can't see this right now, but all the hairs are just standing up, because this is that part of work on self, as Cicely mentions every single podcast. We have to do that work on self, and we can't profess something if we don't believe in it, right? We can't tell people anything about something if we ourselves internally have not either experienced, done it, said it, something. So I feel like it's really important that we kind of reconnect ourselves in that way. We have to realize where we come from, where we are, in order to move forward. So I love this conversation on resilience. This is just making me all the happy feels right now. Tanya, can you tell us a little bit more in regards to this model for women? We talk about step by step. I was not as fortunate to come across this program when I also was 21 having my first child. So I really I'm curious about the empowerment model that you use and how it makes these women more resilient. Can you share just a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's ever evolving, but the thing that is where we're at now is the point where we know what we don't know. So first of all, the moms, we have a advisory council of young single moms. And so these moms advise us on every aspect from programming to what we're going to do for fundraisers, to how do we make relationships with folks, and to even like, should we be dealing with that agency? You've walked in there, you felt what you felt when you walked through the door. Were you greeted well? Were you treated well? I'm not going to send somebody to an agency who's not going to treat you well. So all of those things, but we have not always been there. It has been a growing process. And so we started by just a few years ago, really just listening and asking moms, okay, what do you really want? What do you really need? And they're like, well, not what you've been doing. That was humbling. That was humbling. So one of the best things that we do here is we have a leadership development program called Echo and Resound. And Echo and Resound is for young moms who have been with us for a little while, who have kind of gotten their feet wet and they want to lead other moms. So they go through a year-long process on learning not only things about step-by-step and what we stand for, those kind of classes, but also things that they can use in the workplace. So they're going to learn phone skills. They'll learn, speaking engagement skills. So they'll learn how to be orators and how to write their story and share their story effectively and quickly, and their elevator pitch and all of those things. With this advisory committee, we recently did a SWOT analysis of some programming and taught them how to do a SWOT analysis and be able to look at things and see like what's working, what are the threats, what are the opportunities that we have with this. And so that's been great. To be able to see that, but we also have things like classes that they really want, if it's parenting classes. So we used to do these parenting classes, and there's parenting classes that are required for some of these folks, right? So we would do these parenting classes with the curriculum, and then they'd be like, no. I want to hear from like a real mama who like has 2 jobs and is trying to take care of 3 children with a man who wants to sit on her couch and play video games. Like, what I want to hear from that woman, how she does it. And so we started to be able to hear like, okay, this is the way that it needs to be done. And then finally, one of the biggest things too is like financial literacy. I love that you had Bevan Morgan on the show, because I got like fangirl over here about that $200,000 in debt that she got rid of, and like all of that.
Right.
But what we see by and large is here. Take this class, young woman who makes minimum wage, and learn how to save and have a better life. And the financial literacy classes are garbage, because she could teach you the class because homegirl is surviving and feeding children on nothing, right? And able to do it and still like do side hustles and do whatever she has to do to make it happen. And people are sitting around wondering why she hasn't saved any money. Well, it is a systemic issue. She's not making $15 an hour. So the financial literacy program that we do talks about the trauma of moving 17 times in 1 year when you're a kid. Let's start there. The trauma of what happens when you get money in your hand. If you get your tax return back, for instance, why do you want to spend it so quickly? Well, here's some of the reasons for that. Psychological reasons for that. You're not a bad person, or you've not failed because you take that $7,000 check that you earned by not earning enough because the corporations don't want to pay you enough, but they're not paying taxes. But let's not even get into that, right?
Oh, Lord. Woo.
So we're doing and teaching them like, what does welfare really mean? And could the people who create the system live on $235 a month with children? What do SNAP benefits mean, and what are the restrictions to that, and why is that? So this program is really about, let's talk about redlining. How come you live in the apartment? Why do you live in the apartment complex that you live in that's income-based? Why is that area the up and coming area now, and now you can't rent there? Oh, because of redlining, then gentrification. So we're teaching them it's not just about your personal choices. That's a lie. Now it is about some personal choice. If I decide that I'm going to go to Drake's instead of like making my, tuna casserole that'll last for 2 days, then that's personal. But by and large, there's a lot of systemic issues. And so being able to illuminate that, because when somebody hadn't told me that, then I just thought, oh, I just need to pull myself up by my bootstraps and I just need to get it done. And teaching these young women that there is no such thing as a self-made millionaire. There is no such thing as a get rich quick scheme will serve them going forward. They're not going to get into multi-level marketing when they only make $7.50 an hour and they've never had that experience, nor do they have the network that is needed to be successful in that or the skills. So of course, somebody's going to take your kit money and you're going to be sitting there looking like Boo Boo the Fool. So how do we empower you? By giving you truth, documented truth, by showing you these things in a palatable way that you're going to understand and that you're going to be able to explain to others. That's what we mean by empowerment.
Woo-wee. Knowledge is power, y'all. The more you know, cue the star, like the more you know. That is so incredibly powerful. Because a lot of people don't want to do that kind of work in order to understand. They just want to blame Paul, Simon, Peter, whomever. They want to blame the other person or another party or another thing or another, something along those lines. When you mentioned that bootstrap comment, because how many times we have people of color have been told this ridiculous lie. I can't even imagine how many times collectively as listeners also of color have heard that phrase. Oh, you just need to pick yourself up and you can just do it. Well, not really if the system's working to get me from the moment I'm born. You're absolutely right. It's not really for me. It's really against me. And
it's
how do I
exactly how it's supposed to work? How it was designed.
Mm-hmm.
So we teach you how to game the system and to know that, who's behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and that's important. That's important work.
Absolutely.
And then listening to them. And you know what? Every day, like the people that I work with, my crew, my team, every day we are learning. And it is so humbling to be like, okay, 2 years ago, we did that program. Did that work? No, then let's scrap it. What do we got to do differently? We don't ever want to do the same thing that we've always done because we've always done it that way. That will kill your program, kill your ministry. It will stifle the things that you want to do in life and stifle your creativity more than anything else. I want to be out of the box. There is no box. So how do we get there? And then my job then is to go find somebody who'll pay for it. So, this is what y'all want to do. Y'all want to do a micro business. You want to do this. Okay, well now let me make some phone calls and get out there and write some grants and do what I got to do, get that paid for.
Oh man, Cicely, this is right up your alley. Because I feel like in terms of like, Lux Birth & Co., like in general, we talked about infertility a little bit earlier. I really feel like that's where the moving and shaking is happening. Tanya, you have been a consistent mover and shaker. You are literally putting people in rooms that technically needed to have conversations long time before. And you're saying, now let's start creating something together. Now let's come together and move forth. Now let's either reconcile and let's build together. So I love the fact that you mentioned that, and that empowerment model can so be applied to all of us on whatever level. So again, educate yourself, people. I mean, this is lesson life 101. If you don't know how to bake peanut butter and jelly, either YouTube it or something. So find whatever that is that you need to get those skill sets on and do the work, because it's only going to further you, not only on the level of which you need to learn it from, but also from an empathetic and psychological and emotional abundance level. Like, this is going to further you. So there's no really excuse at this point for a lot of areas when we talk about educating on this level. So I won't go further into that without having a whole nother episode. But Tanya, I really, really, really love everything that you've said today and everything that you brought to the table today. Cicely, chime in, girl. I know you in here hallelujahing and doing all the things in the background.
Okay, Tanya, I just want to let you know that I know that you were not here. You were not coming for me in particular, but today I have traversed the valley. I have been through the highs and through the lows. And I just wanted to let you know that everything you said today it's spoken to me on so many different levels. It spoke to 21-year-old single mom, don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, trying to finish college 600 miles away from my family, me. It spoke to 33-year-old, I, need to stop living in the scarcity mindset, me. It spoke to stepmom, I need to honor the whole story, me. Like, I can't. Like, I've been seen, exposed, opened up. I got closed back up. But I truly appreciate it. You don't even understand. And I told people like all the time, my best friends, people who know me know this about me, that I love a spiritual dragging. You can drag me, read me, ma'am. And I hope that some of our listeners are getting, and I hate to call it like a spiritual dragging, but sometimes you just need somebody to say something in a way that penetrates you and opens up a part that you didn't, you understand something in a way that you had not understood it before. So we can say this work on self, these things we have to do. And I'm sure you've had these same lessons too, where someone can say something to you that people have said to you forever, but it's the way they say it, or it's the timing of how they say it. And it really just it takes you aback, and it really is. I don't even know the words. Like I'm at a loss for words. That's how good it is.
Well, and if we go over time, feel free to cut this. But the last nugget is definitely, it goes along with what you said. When somebody says it to you in such a way, one of the other things that's so successful about Step by Step is because we have a mentor program, and women speak into the lives of our moms, and these moms allow for that to happen. And right. I would not be anywhere if it were not for the mentors in my life, not just my village, but my mentors. And so those of us that are creatives, that are business owners, that are moving in that direction, you have got to get people in your life to whom you will personally say, I will give you some authority to speak truth in my life. Mm. And there's no such thing in my life as having one mentor. I have like 7. Okay. And I go to them for different things. And I think that is so key in the success that we can hold, is if you have someone in an industry that you are trying to move into, or that you are moving in already, you need to find that person, reach out, send an email. I've sent emails to many of people to be like, I know this is strange, but I just want to have coffee with you. I want to hear from you. And they will let you know, oh, I don't have time right now, but let's keep the conversation going. Right. But having people who will not only help you open doors, but will just speak some truth to you, right? There are so many counterfeits out there. Yeah. You have to look for that little part of the counterfeit that shows you that it's counterfeit, right? You have to, this is, and spiritually speaking, a tree by its fruit. You have got to watch people first before you jump all in to them, right? You've got to see how they talk about and with other people and that kind of thing. But having a mentor in my life is definitely part of my resilience. And I consider them definitely part of my village, but specifically in business, I've got to have people who are smarter than me around me, right? Yeah. Put those people around you. And so, when you were saying that, like, you got to have somebody that speaks it to you just at the right time. Yeah, my mentors have given me a spiritual dragging, so to speak. Many to read my mail many a times, and it has changed direction for me. I have to internalize it, but then I walk through it.
But it's coming from a place of love. So that's the bigger thing too, because they're your mentor, they're your village, they're a part of your community, your tribe. It's never going to be a place from someone who's hating on you or wants, but I've always felt that if someone loves me, you will give me the unadulterated truth. You will let me know when I'm messing up. You'll let me know hey, you're a little too high on the horse. Something's going on here. That's always been just the type of person I am. I want you to be honest, because I know that sometimes, and this is as individuals, as business owners, as moms, you can't see the forest for the trees. You're so deep into what you're doing, into your project, into whatever situation that you may have, that you need somebody to look at the experience, the situation with fresh eyes. You need somebody who knows you and who loves you and cares about you, but who can bring that hey, we need to come back to reality. Let's come on this way. You're doing too much. So I feel like that's a part of the resilience too. And you have kind of already answered my question about how you've become more resilient through the years. I think we've talked about that like kind of all through our questions. That is just, you've built that community, you've built that tribe, you've got your mentors, and you've grown. Like, you've listened to positive feedback from the step-by-step participants. They've told you you had to get humble, and then you made changes accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, like I said, I can't. Like, I can't even deal. Like, I'm done today in the best way.
I'm at this point too, where I don't care if you like me. You can ask some people in this town, whether or not, well, how do you feel about Tanya? And some people will say, I don't like her. They don't have to like me.
Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And we have to get to that point in our lives where we can still work. There are women, and you will never hear me publicly say anything about any woman of color, anything like that publicly. I will always cheer them on. But there are women who don't enjoy me, and I will still do a project with them. And you will never know. You will never know. As the community, as a looker honor, you'll just be like, oh, they get along well. You'll never know whether or not I trust that person, whether we're going to do good work. We're going to complete this project, and we're going to move on because it's for the people.
Right.
You do not have to be liked by everyone. That is not your role or your job here on earth, to be liked by everyone.
Yes.
And the sooner that you do that and can be there, and I've been humbled in that so many times. And there are really great people who are just like, she's just not my cup of tea.
Right.
I'm not here for you.
Yeah. That's
right?
it.
Right.
That's it.
That's
right.
not the mission. That's not the mission. And so I think that is another way that I've been able to be resilient, is finally, I can say at 46 years old, take me or leave me, we still gonna do this work though.
Yep. Yeah.
The work's still gonna get done, regardless of whether or not we like one another. It's for the people. It's for, it's for the people coming after us.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? I love that.
We don't have to love each other, but we gonna do this for the people.
Yes, we got to do the work. We were put here. We were put in place. You're going to give me your best work. I'm going to give you my best work, and we can move on after that. I love that. Absolutely.
I love this so much because, man, I mean, if you are not secretly talking about my life, Lord. Okay, so there's so many moments in this whole conversation that are completely mirrored, in a lot of ways for all of us in this conversation. But for the people who are not, physically right here, if they want to find out more information about you, Tanya, how can they reach out to you for courses? I know you do a lot of teaching, not only just step by step, but the personal work that you are doing in social equity, in racial equity, excuse me. Can you tell people how they can find you and get more information about you?
Sure. I have a website. It's www.tanyatorp.com. The website was made by an amazing Latina.
Yeah.
So, we got to keep it going for all of our BIPOC folks. But yes, www.tanyatorp.com. If you're looking for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility training, if you're like, I don't even know how to handle these volunteers in my office, like, what do I even do? If you're looking for a keynote speaker, whatever you need, you just go look on that website. You're going to find it.
You're going to find a whole bunch of truth is what you're going to find.
Maybe too much.
Can I also say, do not contact me if you are not serious, especially around the areas of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. If your organization is not serious about making systemic change, meaning your policies and procedures and those kind of things, I'm going to say no. So don't bother. What I want is people who are really serious. And I don't care how big or small your organization is. I've worked with very small 4-people organizations, and I've worked with 1,000-people organizations. I don't care how big or small you are. You have to be committed to making systemic change.
Amen.
Yes. I love it. Every single ounce. Okay. We are wrapping up this episode. We have a flash questionnaire that we always give each of our guests to end this episode out. And so, Tanya, we're going to have Cicely give you a one simple phrase or question, and you just pop out the first thing that comes to mind. So yes, this could be very dangerous.
I was gonna say, we know she will. I have no fear now. So your favorite international cuisine?
Oh gosh, Ethiopian.
Ooh, I like that. That's the first we've had on the show. Your favorite room in your house?
My attic.
Nice. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Harry Potter or Star Wars?
Harry Potter. all the way.
Yay, finally. Black girls into wizardry. I love it. All right. Digital books or physical books?
Physical books. Gotta hold it, gotta highlight it, baby.
And smell it and write notes.
Yes.
All the things. All the things.
School.
Are you even reading?
Not me, Sebastian from the Never Ending Story, that book. Put that blanket under there. Let's go. Yes.
Love it. If you could go back in time, where would you go and whom would you see?
Deborah, I mentioned her earlier. Deborah from the Bible in the book of Judges.
Awesome.
Like, she was the equivalent of a king at a time when women were chattel property, and led battles and said, you know, a woman's going to get the glory. And the guy was like, I don't care. We need you in this battle. I want to hang out. I want to kick it with Deborah underneath the broom tree for a minute. See what's up. Kick it with Deborah.
Look, Deborah, share some wisdom, Deborah. Share some wisdom. I love it. A gift you've recently received.
A book. A good
book.
It's a book called Reading While Black by Esau Macaulay. And it's about reading the Bible as a Black person and understanding that Jesus loves Black people. It's incredible.
That book is golden. Great read.
I put it on our really notes list here. I'm going to make sure I look that up after we get off.
Yeah, definitely liberation theology at its best.
That's awesome. All right. And your final one, something you did in 2020 that you never thought you would.
I replaced my income by doing consulting.
Okay. That's it. That's all. Just little
step on
things.
out. Just step on out. Just step on
that's
out.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Tanya. This has been absolutely fruitful. I mean, I'm always blessed by our interactions together. I know this won't be the last. It'll be one of so many. Thank you for being such an empowerment for us as moms, such as wives, as women of color. Thank you for being a pillar in our community. If you ain't heard it enough, thank you. I'm just saying that out loud. Thank you. So I really look forward to having future conversations with you. And for all the rest of you listening and watching, we're going to have another watch party featuring Tanya right here on Facebook the first Thursday of the month. If you do not already follow MTG the Podcast, please feel free to do so at mtgthepodcast.com. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and all the places. If you have any other additional questions, feel free to ask them directly in comments on our Facebook page at facebook.com/MTG the Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.